All right, we're getting more breaking news. Again, this has become a political sort of back and forth between the government and the opposition. Now we're given to understand that Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is likely to make a statement on the floor of the House, and that will clarify what the contours of this FTA are. The government source also telling CNN News 18 that this is a two-pronged strategy. Remember, the government had wrapped up the India-EU FTA just last week, and now that put added pressure on the United States and this elusive India-US FTA, which got announced last night. 18% is definitely in the range of making India's exports much more competitive once again to the US. It's much lower than some of the other neighboring countries, whether it's Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, or even some of the export-oriented Asian peers like Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia, etc. I want to go across to Pallavi Ghosh with more details. So the Commerce Minister is expected to lay out the contours of this FTA, the Indo-US FTA, as to what has been agreed and what has not been agreed. And more importantly, government sources also telling you, Pallavi, that this now makes Indian exporters and Indian exports much more competitive than some of our South Asian neighbors and peers.
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, if you remember, this has been going on for weeks and months. Zaka, whenever the trade turmoil was happening with America, India adopted this strategy where we made it very clear that we're going to look at newer markets and newer options. Now, this Indo-US deal, it comes in the backdrop of the FTAs which India has signed up with other countries, the EFTA, EU, UK, New Zealand. What top government sources are telling me is that this is their response to the opposition party. They're saying that it is very clear that they're not just looking at the American markets. We now have other options. We have newer markets. We have newer products. We are going to pick and choose what's going to be best for us. If you think that we're going to open up our market completely, which is going to hurt our own interests, that's not going to be happening. We have signed up multiple FTAs, and all those FTAs have given us an opportunity to find new markets and also make a statement as early as today itself, or possibly he could wait for the 2:30 India time meeting to take place of S. Jaishankar in America. But certainly the government.
Avaz, Anuj, one of the best days in the market so far, massive opening, and it continues to hold steady around about a little less than 3%. Is it just sentiment driven, or are we still waiting for some of the details of what's been agreed to in this FTA?
Absolutely. Look, Zaka, let's break it down. Today's move has to be really broken down into two parts. The first part is essentially short covering. The Indian market has been one of the worst performing markets, not just last year, but at the start of this year as well. And the FIIs, the foreign institutional investors, they have been net sellers. They have been sellers in cash market, but more importantly, they have been selling in futures and options market. In fact, our market had 90% short positions. Zaka, for last 3 or 4 months, our market had seen 90% short positions, and nothing, absolutely nothing was moving this market. And all eyes were on this trade deal. And as soon as that trade deal was announced, you saw overnight the Govt Nifty, which trades now, of course, almost round the clock, that had a 400, 500 point move. And in the morning, we had about a 1,000 point rally in the Nifty. A large part of this is short covering. It's sentiment driven. Also keep in mind, Zaka, that our market has fallen for a variety of reasons. Trade deal was one of them, or the lack of trade deal was one of them. We still have to negotiate with our own earnings season, whether the FIs will come back or not. So there are a lot of other factors, but today, of course, is not the day to talk about those. Today is the day to talk about this big deal that our government has signed with the US government, the trade deal, and the market's reacting to that. And it's sustaining the gains. That's the most important part. It's still up about at 25,800 on the Nifty, still up comfortably about 700 points. I think that's the good news.
Just very quickly, in terms of, strategically, directionally, whether this will hold, whether this will continue, and whether some of these FIIs and FPIs who exited India in 2025 and through January, whether that money will come back, what will be the marker? What will you be looking at to see those, directionally, those signs?
Look, Zaka, the FIs, they don't love or hate any particular country. They go where they are making money. If you see for last 1 year, the momentum was in Korea. The Korean market was up 80%. The momentum was in Europe. The European markets were up 30%. The momentum was in the mother of all markets, NASDAQ, which was up where, the big companies, trillions of dollar market cap companies were adding billions of dollars at the rate of knots. A company like Oracle was adding a market cap of entire Indian IT space in just one trading day. That was the kind of gain that these companies were generating compared to our companies. So what will bring these FIs back, first of all, is momentum. If today's gains continue over the next 3 or 4 weeks, they will come back. Secondly, the earnings. We have had a bit of a mirage in terms of earnings recovery over the last 4 or 5 quarters. If we see a bit of a comeback of earnings, strong earnings coming back, then I think a combination of these two factors, and hopefully this trade deal is perhaps the turning point, and that leads to the inflow of FIs. For 5 years now, we have seen FI outflows. It's high time that they come back now.
Okay, Anuj, we'll hope that proves to be prophetic. Thank you very much for joining us. Anuj Singhal from CNBC Awaaz.